it's Charlotte and this is Bookish Mama Blooms. This is the second filming of this video because I called myself Tired Mama in the first one. I think that's going to happen a lot. So if you didn't know I was Tired Mama Tries to Read, I am now Bookish Mama Blooms. Hopefully you'll all get used to it and then I won't have to say that at the beginning of the video and I won't make the mistakes at the beginning of the video. It reminds me a little bit of working in retail where you get trained to answer the phone in a certain way. And I've worked in quite a few different retail places, but Claire's Accessories was one of the, like, I don't know if you got that where you are, but it's like a jewellery shop for sort of for teenagers really, I suppose, and for little people. And you used to have to answer the phone saying, you're through to Claire's Accessories where getting ready is half the fun. And then there was a whole other spiel, which I have kind of forgotten about ear piercing. And when I then worked in bookshops, I found that really difficult to forget that I didn't work for Claire's Accessories anymore. And I also worked for Ottakers and then worked for Waterstone's Books, and that was a bit of a transition. So I think we're just going to have to reprogram the noggin. Okay, so today I've got two books that I'm going to review, and then I'm also going to do something I've never done before, which is like an unboxing, which is probably as close to mainstream booktube as I will ever likely get. And there is a book in this box, but actually the box is from a subscription box which doesn't necessarily contain a book. It's a kind of, I think of it as being kind of witchy, spiritual, that kind of thing, and it's a box that Sharon put me onto. So anyway, we'll get onto that. That's the little treat at the end. I'm going to do some book reviews first, and they kind of fit in actually, because the books themselves, one of them is just plain odd, and then the other one is definitely the sort of book that you would actually likely get in this subscription box. So let's get on with it before the dogs bark. The first book I'm going to review is Foxfire, Wolfskin and Other Stories of Shape-Shifting Women by Sharon Blackie. Gorgeous cover. The artwork in here is so beautiful. Let me see if I can see who is the artiste. Usually they put them, oh, illustrated by Helen Nicholson. So I need to follow Helen Nicholson on Instagram, I think, because they're just really lovely. So that's a wolf. Or is it a fox? It might be a fox actually. There's another really, this one's cool. Lady in a bath with a sort of serpent's tail. So they're all taken, as far as I know, these stories are all taken from myths that already exist. They're not things that she's necessarily made up herself. It does say on the back that it's charged with positivity and power. And I would say that if you've picked this up for that reason, that maybe you might want to just change your mind and pick this up at a different time. Although her other books, which focus on like female-centered power and reclaiming feminine attitudes and all the rest of it, and they are sort of, I guess they're uplifting in the sense of they charge you. All myths and fairy tales are when you go back, are quite horrific and violent and disturbing. You know, that's actually, she says that in one of her other books. They're not easy, they're not parables, you know, they're not easy to decipher. You don't often know who's good or bad. The good guy sometimes loses and the bad guy sometimes wins. It's really, really hard to make out what you're meant to get from it. And she's excellent at analysing them. So in her other books, she does analyse myths that she's told in workshops and stuff that she's heard, she's researched herself. And then she goes into them in order to talk about all sorts of different things. Depression is one of my favourite. Well, there's a chapter in one of her other books, If Women Rose Rooted. I'm just looking at my shelf. Just to check that's what it's called. If Women Rose Rooted, where she talks about going underground and like the myth of Persephone and things like that, all being part of the journey of mental health and how you have to stay underground and go through the journey. You can't just fix yourself. I found that stuff really useful. But the stories themselves are dark. I would not say that it's charged with positivity and power. Like, there's a lot of stuff about birth, pregnancy, regeneration, which again, common theme in myths and fairy tales. And I know from reading her other books that Sharon Blackie herself didn't have children, but that she wanted them. And she doesn't go into any more detail than that really. So I don't know whether she chose not, circumstances were such that she didn't, or whether she did try and have problems. I've got no idea. But she certainly seems, there seems to be a lot of those kind of stories in this book. And if you are going through, if you're trying to conceive, or you've had baby loss, this would be a difficult read. So you know, and I'm coming from the perspective of somebody who had infertility problems, so I can definitely say that there are some triggering things in there. But on the whole, I found it to be very, maybe because I'm a bit more separated from that now than you know, my child is almost 5 now, and I've got a child. You know, there was a rainbow at the end. But I would say, so for me, I found them fine, and I was like a bit shocked, but saw the whole picture. But I think it would be tricky if you were in the middle of that journey, so just be careful. Otherwise, I thought they were great. I still preferred a non-fiction, if I'm completely honest. I'm never that drawn to short stories because I don't find them memorable enough. And I kind of feel like in 6 months I probably will have forgotten most of these. That's not to say I didn't enjoy them at the time, but they're not, I don't know, the narrative just isn't long enough for me to remember. But there is a great retelling of Blodeuwedd, which is a Welsh myth, and it's really well done. I thought that the Blodeuwedd myth was one of my favourites. And there's also one, which I believe is Llynefan myth, where a Lady of the Lake comes out. There's a few Lady of the Lakes in different mythology, but I think she's taken it from the Welsh version. And I'm super chuffed to see that in here, because I'm literally from where I grew up, looked up towards Llynefan Fach, which was the mountain just above the lake in question. So I could see that from my house, which is really cool. Not anymore though, because we don't live there. So that is one of them. Really good. I'd say a solid 4 stars for that one. Then I read Pyrenesi by Susannah Clarke. Wow. This is the sort of thing that I bought because I kind of wanted to be relevant on BookTube. I bought it before I had my little break, and I have not read a Susannah Clarke before. I didn't read Jonathan Strange and Dr. Norrell. I did watch it on TV. I think I was either pregnant or I'd just had Idris at the time. I loved it. It's really completely otherworldly, but in some ways that kind of fantasy is not the sort of thing I want to read. When I saw this, I was like, well, this is going to be another fantasy one. I don't know if you can even class it as fantasy, but in my head I thought it's going to be similar. And I suppose it kind of is. I mean, it's amazing. So let me just put that out there. If you've got it on your shelf, pick it up. It'll take you a day. I mean, it took me a day to read it, and it was a day, I think it was on a weekday. So I did read part of it when Idris was in school, but then I managed to find time to finish it because I was just totally hooked. I had to find out what happened. It's not the sort of book where you're looking for turns of phrase, beautiful kind of sentences, but the imagery is beautiful. This image of this house, and I can't really tell you. I'm trying to think now. That would normally lead into my description of what the book's about. But in order to tell you what the book's about, there's not a lot you can say. It's about a man called Piranesi who is in a place, I think he calls it the house. Yes, the house. And the house just goes on and on and on, seemingly infinitely. He is totally unquestioning of his presence in the house, and he's pretty much in love with the house and loves recording everything that happens. He survives with what the house provides. So he eats fish that come up in the water that sort of submerges the basements, and then he catches water that drips down the walls. It's really quite bizarre. And as you get through the book, there's loads of little literary references. There's like references to Narnia. I think there's probably loads that I missed. There's a reference to Doctor Who in there as well, which I really, really loved, being a bit of a Doctor Who fan. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. It's like a romp, but a philosophical romp, because it does make you question reality. And I can't say too much. I was just about to say something else that would have given it away, so I'm not going to do that. Just really, really enjoyed it. And if you get the hardback, it's really pretty. Let me just take the jacket off. I don't know, can you see? So Piranesi, and then inside is all seashells, bees, and all the things that he collects. It's really good. Dark, a bit dark. There's, you know, skeletons and, you know, a child and stuff like that, but it's really good. And if you've read Scarlett Thomas, actually, this was what I was going to say. Scarlett Thomas is one of my favourite authors. I think I've read pretty much everything except maybe her latest one. And The End of Mr. Y. If you've read that, the only sort of question I would have, I read The End of Mr. Y over a decade ago and I loved it. And I did kind of find the ideas really similar. And out of the two, I would choose Mr. Y. And I really feel like I need to reread that book again. So if you've read The End of Mr. Y, you kind of know what I mean by that. Although that's another book that's so off the charts that you almost forget what it is that the plot is after you've read it, because you're kind of gripping onto what is reality. Anyway, so those are the 2 books I've read, and now I'm going to show you my subscription box. So this is what it looks like when it comes to it. It's called the Merkababox. And is this the right way up? Yeah. I've been getting this for, I think this is my 4th one, and this is something that Sharon of Storytime put me onto. So I've never had a prescription box for anything in my life. The most I've ever done is like subscribe to a magazine, but I got super jealous of the ones that she was getting, and I don't know, it is pricey. It's £35 a month, so you know that's a lot of money. At the minute that's fine, because I was spending at least £35 a month on little treats in the cafe that adjoins the building that I work in. Cakes, lattes, you know, that kind of thing. So £35 is easily covered by me not having those things, and you can cancel at any time. So when I do go back to my physical venue, I could cancel it if I can't budget for it. But I kind of feel like Sharon's onto something here, because the joy that I feel the day before I know it's going to arrive, because I don't know what's going to be in it, but I know it's going to be something I really love and that probably I wouldn't treat myself to, because they are sort of extra things, you know, and they're also discounted. You know, you pay £35, but you're sometimes getting like £70 worth of stuff. So this is what they look like. This has actually currently got Idris's Lego cards in, because we try and repurpose all the boxes. And the one that I got this morning doesn't look as neat as that, because I couldn't fit everything back in it. So they all come with a theme. And this month's theme, this was a big box. Idris loves opening these. So this month's theme is November Gatherer. So this one is about, and on the back it sort of tells you about gatherers, and then it gives you a ritual. So on the last few I've had, I'm guessing this is what they do with every one. They give you a way of using all the products together. So for example, in one of them there was a meditation, almost like a class that you could access online, so that you could use all of the essential oils, crystals, what have you, and meditate for an hour. So there's like an experience in the box as well. Another box had access to a CD which had all spiritual music, so you could meditate, that sort of thing. So and then on this little sheet is the contents list, and it tells you what the exact products are, where they've come from, sometimes what their ethos is, and sometimes instructions on how to use them in more detail. So this month we got, for the foragers, we got, I'm just going to make sure I say it right for each one, the Eco Shopper bag for the modern day forager. And this is by Sass and Bell. So this is really nice, isn't it? Look at that. That's I haven't got one of these. I see Americans using these a lot, and Canadians, but I don't think I've ever seen a British person use these. But this would be great for, I'm assuming, for taking things like mushrooms, although a lot of mushroomers I've seen use baskets, so I don't know. Then we got some bookish stuff. The Forager's Calendar by John Wright. This is a hefty book, and it's got colour photographs all the way through, and I believe it takes you through seasonally, so you can see all the different kinds of things that you could forage. There's some bits on seaweed, which would actually be really useful for me because we are right on the beach. Did the lights flicker then, or was that me? Yeah, it looks really, really, nettles, hundreds of nettles just in the garden alone. So I'm really excited to use that one. That's definitely something that will prove useful for me. Also got this. Now this has come in bubble wrap. I'm not sure what their packaging policy is. I'm just sniffing that. I'm pretty sure that these are the ones that dissolve in water, these peanuts. But one box did arrive and they were proper foam peanuts, but I think that might have been a supplier issue because of COVID. So I think they're pretty good. They're also vegan with all the things they put in there. Look at this. So this is do you call it a stoneware mug? Stoneware mug from another one from Sass and Bell. Stephen has already said he's going to have, in fact, Idris, when he saw this, he went, oh, is this for Daddy? So clearly it was meant to be for the man of the house. I'll take it. Then there's usually something to spoil yourself with. So in this one it was Bloomtown, The Woods, and it is, I don't know if I'm ever saying is it vetiver, cedar and green clay sugar scrub. And I've got to say, I don't really use scrubs. I would eat this. Genuinely tempted to stick in a spoon. I mean, it's sugar. Maybe I could. Actually, it does actually look sugar, sweet almond oil. Oh, there's some things I don't understand. But yeah, it does smell amazing. Put that down there. And what else? Also got a Forager Sustainable Tea, which is peppermint green tea. Lasting energy, fights fatigue. So I need it. Boosts metabolism, increases brain function. So I have got, this is loose tea. They did another one the other week, which was the other month, which was nettle. So I'm actually going to make myself a pot of this. I love peppermint tea. I never think to buy it, but when we're out and about, I often have a peppermint tea in a cafe, which I know is like ridiculously expensive. Like tea bags are like 3p and I'm paying $1.99, but I don't care. And then the last thing, there's nearly, as far as I know, there's always a crystal. So this one, again, I never, is it agate? I don't know. This one is a tree agate. I don't know if you can even, if I hold it close, I don't even know if it's going to focus in on it, but can you see? Don't know. Tree agate, it literally looks like moss. It looks like moss on a rock. And it says, this is used as a personal talisman. It will help your body gain physical, emotional, mental and spiritual strength. And it's got the power of nature and trees. I told Idris it would give him tree power and he was extremely excited and asked to take it to school, which I said no. But he could have it in the car, so I've got to remember to take this in the car when we pick him up. So to me, this is just like total spoiling, and I know that that is, you know, I always feel like I have to proviso anything I buy with the words privilege, you know, like I use that word to the point where it's almost meaningless, which I think a lot of people do. But yes, I know that this is really cute and everything, but I've done it and it's lovely, and it's really nice to subscribe to something where you feel like they're putting so much effort into what they're choosing. So there we go. I hope that was a nice little something different on the witchy side of things. I did get a cauldron in one of them. I might actually do a best of Macabre box with a few of the subscription boxes combined once I've had enough to choose. Okay, I'm gonna go now because I've got to film, I've got a mushroomy video, I know you're welcome, coming up, and I've got to film the intro to it. I've got all of the mushrooms filmed, if they actually load off my camera, and now I just have to film a little bit of an intro, but lucky you, mushrooms ahoy. Okay, I hope you're doing well and I will speak to you soon. Oh, can I just say, if you subscribe to anything, can you let me know in the comments, because I'm, you know, I'm sort of committed to this one now, but I think if anybody out there is watching, it might be quite useful to sort of talk about any vegan subscription boxes that you do. I know that the Vegan Kind do one, which I'm always tempted by, or if you've read either of the books I talked about, I would love, love, love to know. Okay, bye.